So, welcome to Mini Masterclass Mondays. I am Marla Renee Stewart here live on Instagram. Hey, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I'm here to answer your questions about adult brand businesses and what you can do to be successful today. Okay. So, super excited to have you all with me. Today, we're going to talk about partnerships and influencing. And so this is one of the things that I love speaking about because I've built many partnerships throughout the years and had some really great partnerships and have done my slew of influencing, especially as it comes to products and lubes and things. So I think it's super, super important when we think about diversifying our income. Why, us as entrepreneurs, especially in adult brands, we diversify through partnerships and influencing. This is where we can really bring our revenue up, and it's super, super helpful for us to be in partnership again, especially if it's beneficial to the both of you or however many people are in the partnership, right? There's a quote by George Lucas that says, "Great partnerships thrive because the people need each other." And this is absolutely, absolutely true. So, picture this. You've landed your dream keynote, okay? The fee's great. The audience is engaged. You leave the stage feeling like you've made it. And then 3 months go by without a single booking, okay? Does this sound any kind of familiar? Maybe, maybe not. Or even not even like your dream keynote, just maybe a dream workshop or you're presenting at a conference or something, right? So it's super, super important that we understand this. So, if you've been speaking, if you've been in the speaking world for, more than 5 minutes, you already know the truth that nobody puts on the glossy speaker one sheet. Speaking fees alone are a feast or famine business. We can't say that, right? And so, 1 month you're flying business class, and the next month you're wondering if you should update your LinkedIn headline to available for hire. Okay. So this is why the smartest, most sustainable speakers, coaches, thought leaders, and I love being part of the Intimacy Alliance for this, and even the SCU 69 group on Facebook, is that we have stopped treating the keynote fee as we're our only revenue stream, right? Instead, we built an ecosystem, a mix of partnerships, brand collaborations, affiliate relationships, sponsorships, influence-based income that keeps the lights on even when the event calendar goes quiet, okay? So this matters because we need to know, how it actually works. And because nothing in business is a free lunch, right? The real pros and cons of building an income model around partnerships and influence is what really matters, okay? So again, the problem if you you are a one-trick income pony, I should say, right? The uncomfortable math of your speaking or maybe even coaching business is that even the most in-demand entrepreneurs only deliver so many, you can only give so much, right, per year, right? There are only so many weekdays, so many conference seasons, so many event budgets, right, to go around. And then you have to add in the reality that if you have a speaking gig, they are often seasonal, okay? Of course, we know the fall conference run, and of course, hello. And, the fall conference run, of course, the January kickoff season. There's lots of different conference seasons that we have to think about, right? And so you have an income model that we don't have a steady paycheck, okay, is what I'm saying. And it's more like a roller coaster, there's ups and downs and ups and downs, okay? So if you're relying solely on those booking fees, that means your income rises and falls with your calendar, not your value, right? A slow quarter can feel like a full-blown crisis because you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my rent, my mortgage, or whatever, my car note, right? You're constantly chasing the next gig instead of building something that compounds over time, right? Because you're like, I need the money now. How do I get to that point? Because, you're in a rush for cash. And then again, your entire business is vulnerable to a single point of failure. Remember, that's why we diversify our income. Because what happens if the conference goes virtual, the budgets get slashed, the government is taking down these funds, or even your niche, right, kind of cools off. What about that? So diversifying isn't about abandoning the stage, right? It's about building additional rivers that feed the same lake so that when one dries up temporarily, you're not standing there with an empty cup, right? You can keep going. So enter partnerships and influencing, right? This is a great side hustle. That's not really a side hustle, okay? So when people tend to hear, diversify income, right? They sometimes picture something disconnected from their core brand, like a completely unrelated side business. But the absolute beauty of partnerships is that, and influencer style income, is that it's a natural extension of what you're already doing. Okay. You're already building authority. You already have an audience and you are building trust every single time you speak. So partnerships simply let you monetize that trust in more ways than one. So here's what that can look like in actual practice, right? Brand partnerships and sponsorships. So companies that want to reach the same audience you speak to. So maybe they are educators, healthcare professionals, whoever your niche is, right? Will often pay to be associated with you. This can mean a sponsored segment in your talk or your podcast, right? A co-branded webinar, or simply being a featured brand ambassador, right? For a product that aligns with your message. Affiliate and referral income. If you recommend books, tools, courses, or software during your talks or on social media anyway, why not set up an affiliate relationship so you earn some commission? Okay. This is one of the lowest effort ways to build a revenue stream since we're often already talking about these resources for free. Okay. So again, get those links in, get a little bit of a kickback. Licensing your content, right? So your frameworks, your slide decks, your signature methodology, right? I talk about my seduction learning styles can be licensed to incorporate training departments, coaches, other speakers who want to teach your system under a formal agreement. Okay. This turns your IP, your intellectual property, into a passive royalty stream. Right. So like I said, it's always nice. I have a couple of licensing deals and it's always nice getting that income each month to be like, ooh, yes, nice. I didn't have to do anything but give people access to my work. Right. Influencer style content deals. So as your online following grows, whether that's on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, or your podcast, again, brands will approach you or you can approach them for sponsored content, product placements, or long-term ambassadorships, much like traditional influencers. Okay. So again, these brands, I had lovers under my belt doing PR for them, and I was their ambassador for a few years. So understand that when you have these long-term ambassadorships, it's really, really nice because again, not only is that income coming in, but you are, you are in line with those traditional influencers. Okay. With joint ventures and co-created products, remember partnering with another speaker, author, or brand to co-create an online course, a book, or an event series that lets you split the workload and the audience building while doubling your reach. So again, doing these joint ventures are a really great way. Co-creating products, really great way to double your audience and really expand your influence. So this matters kind of more than ever. We know content creators are getting paid, right? The speaking industry has changed, right? A decade ago, an in-person keynote was often the only touch point an audience had with a speaker. But now your stage includes maybe your podcast appearances, your Instagram reels, your email newsletter, your LinkedIn thought leadership posts, right? Your influence extends far beyond just the physical event, right? Which means your monetization opportunities should follow along as well. Okay. So when you're diversifying through partnerships and influence, it matters for a few key reasons, right? One, it smooths out your cash flow. Remember that recurring affiliate income or a retained brand partnership can act as a financial floor beneath the peaks and valleys of booking season. Okay. So there's always the money coming in. It builds long-term equity, not just short-term income. So a licensing deal or an owned online course keeps generating revenue long after the initial work is done, unlike a one and done, right? A one-time speaking fee that ends the moment you leave the stage, right? It also deepens your relevance. So brands and audiences see you as more than a talking head, right? You become more of a trusted voice woven into multiple parts of their lives, which in turn makes you more bookable as a speaker. And then, of course, it protects you from industry shifts. So if corporate travel budgets shrink or virtual events become the norm again, your other income streams keep flowing regardless of what's happening in the events industry. Okay. So that's good to know, right? So with the pros, we have to break down the pros, what you stand to gain in when you're diversifying your income with partnerships and influencing. Okay. More financial stability. This is a big one because I know a lot of times we tend to, as adult industry entrepreneurs, right? Again, peaks and valleys. But if we have more financial stability, the better. When your income isn't 100% tied to how much you're speaking or how much you're booking, you sleep better. That mix of speaking fees, the affiliate income, the sponsorships, licensing deals create that buffer that smooths out the natural ebb and flow of the industry. There's higher perceived authority, right? So speakers who have visible brand partnerships are often perceived as more credible. So if a well-known company trusts you enough to put their name next to yours, meeting planners and audiences take note. It's social proof on autopilot. Passive and semi-passive income potential. So many partnership models, affiliate links, licensing agreements, ambassador retainers don't require you to trade hours for dollars the way a live keynote does. Okay. So once the deal is set up, income can continue to trickle in with minimal ongoing effort. And I'm going to be talking about funnels this week. So again, that's something to really think about as you think about that passive income potential. Expanded audience reach. So partnering with brands or other creators introduces you to their audience and vice versa. So this kind of cross-pollination can accelerate your visibility for faster than organic growth alone. Again, we are expanding our audience. More creative freedom. I know a lot of you are very creative. So what's interesting is, like, ironically, having multiple income streams can actually free you up creatively. When you're not desperate for the next booking, you can be pickier about which stages you say yes to and more experimental with your content, knowing it's not your only lifeline. Okay. Resilience against industry disruption, right? So again, we've all watched entire event calendars vanish overnight during global disruptions, during personal disruptions, business disruptions, right? So speakers with diversified income, courses, licensing, digital products, brand deals, weathered those storms far better than those who relied solely on the in-person circuit. And of course, the cons. You need to watch out for the cons. So those are all the different pros. So again, higher perceived authority, more financial stability, passive income potential, expanded audience reach, more creative freedom, and resilience against that industry disruption. Now, these are the things you need to look out for because, you know, this isn't all about sunshine and passive royalty checks, right? There are real trade-offs, and pretending otherwise would do you a disservice. So again, these are the things that you have to think about. One is brand dilution risk, right? So the wrong partnership can hurt your credibility faster than it helps your bank account, okay? So if you attach your name to a product or company that doesn't align with your values, or worse, one that later has a public scandal, your reputation takes the hit right alongside theirs, right? Audiences are savvy. They notice when a partnership feels like a cash grab rather than a genuine alignment, okay? Time and energy investment upfront. So contrary to the quote unquote passive income dream, most partnerships require real work to set up, negotiating terms, creating content, managing relationships, and often ongoing deliverables. Licensing a framework isn't as simple as sending a PDF. You'll likely need training materials, support, and quality control, okay? There's also some loss of some creative control, right? When I license my things off, I'm like, hey, you can chop and screw whatever you want, but this is my intellectual property, right? So there is some loss of some creative control because they won't maybe want to fit it into their way of doing things, right? So when a brand pays you to be associated with them, they often have opinions about messaging, disclosures, how their product is represented. And this can feel restrictive if you're used to full creative freedom on stage. And then, of course, complexity in contracts and compliance. So sponsorships and affiliate deals come with legal considerations, right? Disclosure requirements, right? Hello, FTC guidelines on sponsored content, exclusivity clauses, payment terms that need careful review. This is where many speakers get burned, right? They sign a deal without fully understanding the fine print. It's so important for you to understand legalese. I do have that part of my program as well, to understand legalese, what legalese actually means. Inconsistent or delayed payouts. So sometimes, you say net 30, but it's net 60. Okay. So again, the up and down thing. So, a speaking fee is often paid really promptly, or even before your event. Partnership income can be slower, less predictable. You don't know when they're going to pay it. Royalty payments, affiliate commissions, sponsorship installments often come at their own irregular schedule. Okay. Sometimes, right? They're a good company to work with. Most of the time you can get it when you're asking for it. And then also the risk of audience fatigue, right? If every other post or talk starts to feel like an ad, your audience will notice and trust can erode, right? So balancing authentic content with sponsored content is a skill in itself. And getting the ratio wrong can cost you the very influence that made you attractive to partners in the first place. So when thinking about this, how do you actually start? So if this all sounds appealing, but maybe a little overwhelming, here's the good news. You don't have to do it all at once, right? You can start small and build intentionally. So one thing you can do is audit your existing influence. What are you already recommending, teaching, or talking about for free, right? I'm a huge fan of a couple of brands like Foria or Quim, and I'm like, yes. So there's brands, there's things that you're already talking about for free. That's your low-hanging fruit for affiliate or ambassador relationships, right? Get clear on your brand values before you say yes to anything. Okay, write down your non-negotiables so you can quickly evaluate whether a partnership opportunity is a fit. Start with one pilot partnership, right? So test the waters with a single brand deal or affiliate relationship before building out a whole portfolio. Okay. One brand deal, right? It's really great. Like a partnership that I have great was with Wicked Grounds, right? So I do workshops and things for them. And so they promote me. So it's a win-win, right? So if you have a pilot partnership, or if you're just understanding or just trying to get into this, try just that one pilot partnership first before you start partnering with other people. Okay. You need to protect your core message. Any partnership should enhance your credibility, not distract from your signature talk or your why. Okay. And of course, get everything in writing. Contracts, disclosure agreements, payment terms should be clear from day one. This is not the place to wing it on a handshake deal. And then, of course, track what's actually working, right? Not every partnership is going to be a home run. That's okay. Treat this like any other business experiment. Measure, adjust, and double down on what performs. Okay. So the bottom line here is that when you are speaking, you're doing workshops, maybe you're doing classes, you're doing coaching, whatever it is, will always likely be the heart of your income as an entrepreneur, but it doesn't have to be the whole body. Partnerships, influence-based income offer a way to build a more resilient, more diversified, and ultimately more sustainable business around the expertise and authority you've already worked so hard to build. So yes, there are real risks, right? Brand dilution, added complexity, and the ever-present temptation to chase every shiny partnership opportunity that lands in your inbox. But approach thoughtfully with clear values, solid contracts, a genuine alignment between you and your partners. Diversifying your income can be the difference between a speaking career that survives the slow seasons and one that actually thrives through them. Okay. So the next time a brand slides through your DMs, because they will, wanting to collaborate, don't just think about the check or the money, if they are even offering check or money. Think about the ecosystem that you're building together. One partnership, one affiliate link, one licensing deal at a time. Okay. All right, y'all. Cheers to your professional success. I hope y'all got a lot out of that today. I am, of course, taking any questions. You can always DM me with your questions anytime. If you don't have your free Shadow Band Survival Guide, please make sure you pick that up. You just go to velvetlips.kit.com/shadowband guide. And of course, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'll be doing the class today. I'll be going over funnels. So if you're not familiar with funnels and you're not understanding how they work, I'm going to show you exactly what they look like and how you can influence your or nurture your audience to ensure that they get what they need from you. So again, thank you all so much for being here today on Mini Masterclass Mondays, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye y'all.